Hello and welcome to another episode of Rocklaz Radio. On today's show, we have owner of a professional table team, father of an influencer, Ishika Bhargava, you must be knowing, co-founder and veteran in digital marketing and marketing for 2 decades. He has given talks in IITs, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, and Harvard, and many more amazing platforms. Recently, he was on a fireside chat with Anupam Mittal. So you'll ask him, we'll talk about that as well. And we met at CII's event where my mind was blown to see a SaaS product that he has created, Consumr AI. So AI that brings first hand customer data from different websites like Spotify, Amazon, and many more. We'll talk in deep about that. So continue and watch till the end for all the amazing insights. Vivek, this is Mr. Vivek Bhargav joining us from Mumbai. Is that right?
Yes. Thanks a lot,
Vivek,
Tanmay. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast.
Vivek, you are an investor and VC. Can you give an elevator pitch to our audience?
Okay, so today, most large enterprises have a very singular view of their customer. That view is of transactions, what they buy, what price they buy, what frequency they buy. But if I were to ask any large company what cuisine their customers like, do they like cats or dogs, or like wine or beer, they like action as a genre, comedy as a genre, this information is not known to large brands. Because it's not known to them, their media buying is suboptimal. They cannot do effective creative. They cannot do content creation that creates engagement. They cannot choose the influencers that will work for them. They don't even get insights of what new products they should develop. So our goal is consumer intelligence. Basically, the customer is the center of every organization. We help them understand their high value customers. And once they understand that, it improves decision making across everything they do, right? From media buying to creative to content creation to every single thing that they do. And our company is called Profit Wheel because we believe that once you understand your high value customers and and sort of take the entire organization in that one direction and treat it like a compass, then it can really help you increase your profits. So that's what our goal is, that how do we help large enterprises increase their profits? It has suddenly become more important than it was 5 years ago. Profits are again back in fashion. So we are hoping that we can help a lot of large companies increase their profits.
Fabulous. And explaining it to a 5-year-old, what does consumer AI do?
I think it is meant for Fortune 100 companies, not meant for 5-year-old. So I don't think a 5-year-old needs to understand. But I think if I were to explain to a 5-year-old that you can tell the 5-year-old that you know when to ask me for an ice cream and when not to ask me for an ice cream. So if you knew what I'm going through, what feelings and emotions I have, that will allow you to know when to get your job done. So we help companies understand a 360-degree view of their customers so that basically they can get the customer to do things which is be buying their products or subscribing to them. So I think that's what we do.
Did you get the idea of consumer AI?
So honestly, I would not like to take credit for any of the idea of Consumr AI. I have two co-founders. Our head of sales and customer success is Aman, who's based out of Boston, and the person who's built this entire platform is a guy called Gautam Mehra. He's the guy who conceptualized the entire idea. I think we just acted as a sounding board when we were discussing what idea has to be built. So the entire idea and the thought process of what the product should be. Gotham has this very unique ability of knowing what the world needs and then has the capability of building it. So he's the one who gets 100% of the credit of thinking of the idea and executing it and building the platform you've seen in the past.
You are from the creative side and you're giving credits to Anubhav and Gautam,
Gotham.
your team members. How did you get how did you assemble the team?
So actually, I'm not from the creative side. I would say I'm from the business acumen side.
Okay.
I've always been an entrepreneur. So I would say there are two hats that I wear. One is sales, and the other is the raising the capital and getting the team together. So Aman was a friend of mine back 15 years ago, and we actually played table tennis together. He used to be a client for me at one point in time. He used to work for Yahoo, and Yahoo was outsourcing work to us. But then he got stuck in India, and we started playing table tennis together. So he's been a personal friend per se. Uh, Gautam had joined Dentsu through me, and he had built something called Dan Data Sciences and became the CEO for APAC for programmatic and Dan Data Sciences. And he that whole entire department dovetailed into me. So I've known Gautam for 10 years. He's one of the most brilliant guys I've ever met in my life. Sorry, your voice as okay. Now I
Yes.
can hear you. Yeah.
How does how do you get the first data points of the customers? As I mentioned, Spotify, Amazon. So there was an amazing thing you spoke about. What kind of behavior you know from different platforms? Can you share that with the viewers?
Yeah, I think, see, most of these platforms work with hundreds of tech companies. So if you take whether it's Adobe, whether it's Salesforce, whether it's companies like Smartly, people like Jellyfish. So Facebook has something called Facebook Marketing Partners. Amazon has Amazon Advertising Partners. So all these companies, when you spend hundreds of millions or billions of dollars with them, they need some kind of automation. For that automation, you need access to the APIs, which are very basic APIs of reach and frequency. So what we do is we get intent information from the Google ecosystem. We get the behavior information from Meta, which is Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms like TikTok and Snap. We get buying information from Amazon. We get listening information from Spotify, Twitter, DV360, Google Analytics. So basically what we're doing is we're using all the platform, using the official APIs that they provide us to help companies understand their customer. And the biggest benefit of this generally ends up media efficiency. So it ends up companies spending more monies on the same platform because now they understand how to spend it more effectively and how to make creative work better for them. So the platforms benefit when the customer uses Consumr AI. So generally, it's a win-win for the client, win-win for the platform, win-win for us.
The design of the platform, and so easily it was able to get in the live demonstration all the data points and create an avatar. It was so amazing to see that. Can you tell us more about how to achieve that, or what are your difficulties in getting there?
So I think again the credit goes to Gautam and Danish who have co-created the product, Gautam leading it. So I think when Gautam was building the platform, we identified two big challenges large enterprises face. The first challenge was that when they take a new platform, the platform takes 6 months to 2 years to implement. So what happens is if you take any enterprise implementation, right, it's a 6 month process at the bare minimum. Now the problem is the world changes in 6 months. If you take 6 months ago, probably we didn't have ChatGPT as popular as what it is today. So I think the key is that how do we make this whole process lower than 6 months? So we finally built a platform, or Gotham built it, which was now we can go live in 5 minutes. So in a nutshell, when you press a button, our platform goes live. All you do is connect your Facebook or Google Business Manager to our platform, press enter, and you're done, right? So your platform goes live. You can start analyzing your customers immediately. The second challenge I think most enterprise platforms face is that you can almost count on your hands and your fingers the number of people who end up using the platform in the large enterprise. So we thought that why don't we replicate what Google has done? We created one omni bar. So whatever you do on the platform, 80-90% of the features work from this one single bar. So you start typing on the bar, and that's all you need to start playing around with the platform. So we joke around that anybody knows how to use a search engine like Google can start using the platform immediately. And now a new module that we've launched right now in the version 2.0, what we've done is now we have a module called Conversations, where Conversations is just when you click on the tab, you can just ask a question and it'll go through the reports that are already there and it'll answer the question. And the question could be as simple as this, that how has my customer changed over the last 5 years? So now it's so easy that what happens is you've uploaded customer data of 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and today's data. And now it'll go through all those five psychographics of the last 5 years and tell you your customers are getting younger, the female gender is increasing, they are getting more sustainability conscious, and all the changes that the consumer profile is going through. If you know it, because you know how the 5 years have changed, then you can predict the next 5 years. And that gives so much of strategic direction to the company because they know how the customers are changing. So the conversations mode is amazing for the C-suite. Any senior exec in a company can go in and ask a question. The question could be that, okay, I have two hero products like cakes and flowers. What should be my next hero product? And it'll go through intent data and tell you what could be the next hero product. So we work with e-commerce gifting site, and one of the things we're helping them realize is that after cakes and flowers, what should be the next hero product?
Our platform is very international. My vision is to get one person from each country of the world. We have covered 40 countries so far, and it's very interesting to know about their culture and how they look at the same things in different ways in different areas of the world. And your platform, Consumr AI, gives accurate insight on the consumer behavior in different parts of the world. Can you give us an example of a particular product that you were surprised to see differences in US and India and other economies?
One of the things we've done is we have mapped 1.2 million interests on Meta to approximately 120,000 interests on sort of programmatic of Google, to 200,000 categories on YouTube, to 17,000 on TikTok, to 16 on Snap. But we also map audiences globally. So an audience that like cricket in India will like Formula One in UAE, will like soccer in UK, will like ice hockey in Canada. And this is sports mapping is still easier, but just imagine people who like outdoor activities in US like cooking in India. So what happens is when you take any category, it gives you psychographic and demographic breakup of that product or the category. So I can take an Audi A8 versus an Audi Q7 and how the psychographic differences of that is in India versus in US versus in Philippines. So let's say if you take any product, there's a lot more consumption by male in India for that product, but in Philippines it's 50-50 or a 60-40 in the favor of females. So if you take any psychographic, the audience who's consuming information for any particular brand or product category in India is very young population. But if you take in US, it's almost like uh, equally distributed through the entire population. So if you take physical exercise or fitness training, so fitness training is only 18 to 25 or 18 to 35 in India, while even 55-year-olds, 65-year-olds in US have interest in fitness training. So it's very fascinating to see how each country's culture is. In fact, I recently read this book called The Culture Code, which is a very interesting book. What it does, it talks about the relationship of their culture with any object and how the imprinting has happened in their childhood that has influenced their relationship with that object. So let me give you an example. In France, a 7 to 8 year old kid is allowed to taste champagne by dipping a marshmallow in it or a cookie in it, so he gets a taste of champagne. Now, cultures like India and US will never allow a child to touch alcohol, right? So what happens is his first exposure to alcohol happens at 15, 16 without the knowledge of his parents or when they join high school. And then what happens is the culture they establish with alcohol is to get drunk. So if you take US, their the first reaction for alcohol is it's a vehicle to get drunk. While for French, the vehicle is taste. So a French person would have wine, but predominantly for taste, while somebody in US or India to a certain extent will have it because they want to get drunk. Similarly, you take car is freedom for US, it's engineering for somebody in Germany. You take kitchen as a category or as an object, then the kitchen is the center of US households where the guests who come, they are allowed to sort of mingle around the kitchen and while the host is cooking and working and talking to them while she's making the salad or whatever, right? But if you take a French household or Indian household, you will not want the guest to ever walk into your kitchen. That's your safe haven where it can be slightly messy and you clean up the living room, but you don't worry about the guests coming into the kitchen. In fact, I had a very famous actress come to our house, and what happened was she wanted to keep her plate in the kitchen. She's very humble. So my wife said, "Don't allow her to come in the kitchen because then she'll not eat any food from our house." So the kitchen is a taboo place, right? You don't let guests enter the kitchen, but the kitchen is probably the most central place for an American household. So when you look at this, the search and the behavior gives you these insights. So if you take, right, when you take home decor, most of the consumption happens for the living room in India because people don't go into a bedroom, they don't go into a kitchen, they just be in the living room. So if a person spends $100 on the living room, they will spend $500 on the living or $25 in the bedroom. So it's almost 4x the price. And this we can see from search trends. Even the search, like a person searches for gift for wife in Bombay and searches for anniversary gift in Bangalore. So the creative that you write would be very different for Bombay and Bangalore. And the advantage of the platform is that all these psychographics that we are collecting, this becomes then an agent which writes a 200-word prompt that goes into multiple LLMs, whether it goes to Gemini, it goes into Cohere, it goes into ChatGPT-4, and then is able to write creative, is able to write content. But because the content or creative is written for that audience, right? These 100,000 customers, your most high value customers, it's writing creative for them. So let me share with you an interesting example. We work with Crocs in India. People who buy Crocs in India, we found that they have a lot of affinity for playing sports. So I didn't think that would be the correlation. I thought people who wear Crocs are lazy guys like me who will chill. But I also play table tennis almost quasi professionally. And when we put that into our creative engine to create the creative context, it created this thing called Crocs for your after sport relaxation, a companion for your, sports shoe, accessory for your sports bag. And I found it so insightful. They ended up putting a pair of Crocs in my sports bag because once I'm done playing table tennis with my friends and I'm sitting and chatting with them, the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of my sporting gear and wear something comfortable. So I want my legs to breathe and I want to wear Crocs. So I found it so amazingly insightful. And that's the creative construct that AI created because we fed in the psychographics of 200 plus words of what a Crocs psychographic customer is, right? People who have bought Crocs, what is the psychographic? So I think the biggest challenge with generative AI is that people write two-line prompts and expect generative AI to write something. But when you make that prompt into a 200-word prompt, then generative AI then becomes extremely powerful. And the benefit is as AI keeps on improving, things like Sora and all become mainstay. What's going to happen is this psychographics that we're creating of your high value customers will allow you to put that as prompts into video creation tools, image creation tools, creative writing tools, and that should be able to create content, creative, which are far more effective than anything we've seen so far.
Next question I want to ask about pricing. There was a recent video where Nandan Nilekani asked the founder of Uber what is his views about pricing, and he said in India, consumer expect much more but are not ready to pay. How do you tackle this problem in India, and how has the perspective about pricing been in different parts of the world?
So Tanmay, I think, see, for us, we are building for the US. Clients in US pay $25,000 a month, $50,000 a month for our platform. So we work with Fortune 100 companies, companies like New York Life, Dell, Vanguard, people who are large enterprises with global operations, right? So that's our TG. That's our core market. 95% of revenues comes from North America, especially US. Uh, so what we've seen is most of these companies. So I'll tell you a very interesting story, right? Uh, I was looking at our customer pilots and the customers we acquired in India, and I was looking at customers we acquired in US, and I was comparing the conversations, right? So the interesting part was all the conversations in US focused on what they can do with the platform that they can't do today, and how they can make more money than what they're making today. Every single conversation in India was how can they save money and save money on the things they're doing today. They were not focused on what they can do, which they are not doing today. So I think North America, especially US, comes with this abundance mindset where the focus is how do we make more monies. India comes from a scarcity mindset where the focus is how do we save monies. So in India, our pricing it starts at about $10,000 a month, so it's still not cheap, but it's significantly lower than what it is in North America. And generally, what we've seen is most of the pilots we do, which basically become long-term annual contracts for us, are people for whom we've saved money. They start off with media. we improve their media efficiencies. So if you're working in Pons and Petals or Naukri.com kind of clients, then we've saved their media efficiencies in the first month. That has paid for the sort of platform many times over. Then everything else the platform delivers is a bonus. But in US, people have paid us $25,000 a month just to understand the psychographics of their customers. So one of the large financial institutions, they work with large HNI clients. So they're paying us $25,000 a month. They don't want to do any media. They just want to understand the psychographics of the high value customers. Because if you know that your high value customers like jazz rather than pop, or like, baseball instead of football, then instead of sponsoring and giving them a Super Bowl ticket, they can give them a World Series ticket or give them an NBA ticket. So what happens is that the platform is very useful for doing things that you can't do today and use it to make more monies. But unfortunately, in India, we have to start with how do they save money. So if we're charging them 8 lakhs a month, our first goal is how do we save more than 8 lakhs for them? Then it's easier for them to sign up for a long-term contract.
Do you think this entire mentality can and will change in India?
So I think this mentality, if you take my father or his father, right? My grandfather wanted my father to join a government job because that was something which would be stable, be secure. You'll have a 50-year, you can stay in the same job. Because the main worry that my grandfather probably had was how does he make sure that his child has food, shelter, and clothing for the rest of his life. My father would have probably wanted me to join Infosys kind of companies where, at the end of the day, you make some money, but you also have stability and security and, company there going to be there forever, right? If you take me, I probably want my daughter to, if I had to choose her, I would like her to be an entrepreneur, but if she has to take a job, she should work for a company like Cred, like where you can get exposure, you learn new things, and you can still make more money. The job is not as secure as it would be in probably Infosys, but that's okay. So I think what happens is as we become developed, right, as our per capita income increases, as our food, shelter, clothing needs are taken care of because our parents have enough money, what happens is that the culture will change to abundance. And this is actually very essential because what happens is that you take the world of AI, what's happening is that everything in the world is going to be abundant, right? Computing is abundant, storage is abundant. Now what will happen is content will be abundant, energy prices are going to keep on reducing, so it'll become abundant. So what's going to happen is we're going to live in an abundant world. So if we still have a scarcity mindset, our chance of success reduces. So in fact, that whole article I wrote, so Prasad from Brand Equity helped me write the article where I did a video call like this and then he translated that into a good post. The part two of that is coming out. Part two focuses on how do you build an abundance mindset, right? Because what happens is that if you want to live and sort of prosper in the AI world, having an abundance mindset is going to be very critical. So every company that per se is going to hear this podcast should think about how can they use technology and AI to make more monies rather than keep on focusing on how to save more monies. In fact, every single digital transformation project in India, the first primary goal is how to save money. But the fact of the matter is saving money is never going to make you relevant in the long run, right? You have to figure out how to make more monies. They say revenues is a solution for most things, but most of us focus on, reducing the cost rather than figuring out how to make more monies. So, but what I've seen is that once I save the monies initially and I'm able to basically get them to recover the cost of the platform in the first 1 month itself, then they start looking at how they can use the platform for doing more things. So I'm hoping that India does develop a abundance mindset because if they don't, then they will actually fail in the AI world.
So, are you saying that a basic pitch for any business in India should be how are you going to make the money in the first month? And
First
then,
pitch should be how do you save their monies? So that's the only pitch. In fact, making money is not a pitch in India. Saving money is a pitch in India. Making money is a pitch in North America. How do they make money using your platform? In India, how do they save money using your platform?
right. OpenAI and Gemini, they have kept one version of their AI open for anybody. It's free. Everybody can try and test it out. And they also get a lot of trial and errors and data that they can work on and improve their whole system with. Have you thought of a similar thing for consumer AI where people can figure out and try for free and you can learn from the database.
See, the challenge is, right, you have to very take a call early in life in the stage of the company you're in. Are you a enterprise company or are you a sort of product-led growth company, right? So product-led growth companies focus on the product. Sign-up process is simple. People sign up, put the credit card in, use it, and that's how product-led companies are grown, right? When you charge $25,000, $50,000 a month, that whole process of sale is a very complex sale, right? There are multiple stakeholders in the company. There are procurement departments, there's leadership, there is a coach, there is a champion. So working your way out is it's a process which takes months to reach the decision maker. When they sign up, then they'll do a trial. During the trial phase, you have to act like a consultant, you have to act like a solutions expert who's able to identify the key challenges they have and how your platform can save and solve those challenges. Then work with them and their teams in solving those challenges. Once you're solving the challenges, you can estimate how much that challenge is worth. Did you say them $1 million? Did you say them $2 million? Or do you give them an opportunity to make $10 million, right? So I'll give you an example. There was one of our companies, they make continuous glucose monitors, like they call CGM devices. So we found that people who have a lot of affinity for nails, human nails, were getting conversions, and they were wondering why is this happening, right? So we asked the agency, they didn't have a clue. We asked the client. The client said, "Oh, that's very interesting. The first sign of juvenile or type 1 diabetes is yellow and jaundice nails." So people were seeing their nails turn yellow or the kids' nails turn yellow, and they were wondering why it's happening. They were consuming content, searching for it, and based on that, they were converting for CGM devices. So they were getting 300 conversions a month, and he said, "Okay, big deal, right? In India, you sneeze, you get 300 conversions, right?" So the thing is, they say that you don't understand. When a person joins us, they stay with us for 20, 30 years. The lifetime value of that person for us is tens of thousands of dollars. This is tens of millions of dollars of value on a monthly basis for us. And you multiply that over the next 10-year, 20-year period, it's a significantly large amount of money that this one interest is giving me, right? So the thing is, if we had not worked with them closely, handheld them during this trial, consulted them, then this value that we delivered to them would have not come in. So what happens is that if you're testing out ChatGPT, right? Then ChatGPT, you can try it out on your own. You can have a product like growth strategy because people will try it out and then pay $20 a month for it. But if you let's say you want to do an Adobe implementation, right? Adobe Stack can go into millions of dollars of value, right? Now the thing is, what are you going to trial with? Because it requires implementation. It requires insights that will help you improve your business, help you in product development, help you understand your customers. So at the end of the day, large enterprise platforms like ours, it may take 5 years for implementation, but it requires a lot of consulting and handholding for them to derive the true value the platform will deliver. And that initial phases is the co-founders like me, Aman, Gautam, we have to get personally involved to deliver value to the clients, right? And that cost of time is first of all, that time is scarce. And if we don't handle the client, and we are also dealing with the C-suite of these companies, right? So they don't have time. So a person who I've hired may not be able to have a conversation with the founder or the CMO of a company that spends 400, 500 crores a year, right? So I think if you take a call that you want to be in the SME space or the consumer space, then whatever you're saying, free trial and all those things work. But if you want to be in the really true enterprise space, right now we're negotiating two contracts that both the ACVs will be about $1 million plus. So it'll be a 3 months, 6 months sales cycle before that gets signed up, right? Now, who are you going to give the free trial to? These are 50,000 people organizations. There are hundreds of departments in the organization who use our platform, right? From the creative teams to the content teams to the analytics teams, the consumer intelligence teams, the C-suite of the company, the growth marketing teams, the digital marketing teams, companies who are basically building and researching the new products they should launch. They are deciding what partners they should onboard, what influencer they should hire. So like we were working with this company where uh, they had a brand ambassador for a brand like Gucci, and the current brand ambassador had an overlap of 20%, but we found another brand ambassador which has an overlap of 40% with the audience. So the next ambassador that they get, and these ambassador relationships are tens of millions of dollars in value, right? One of our partners wanted to sponsor the Super Bowl, and their brand had a 7 or 9 million overlap with Super Bowl, but their same brand had a 45 million overlap with NBA Finals. So now NBA Finals, the media rates of that is one fifth of Super Bowl. by choosing NBA over Super Bowl, they can get 25x better value. So now these kind of strategic information that you want to give and the insights you want to share, uh, they would never be able to do this on their own, right? You have to handhold them through that process. So enterprise, large enterprise, $1 million kind of ACV contracts, uh, the free trial won't work. So when we do a pilot, we charge for a pilot because we want the process to sign off, right? Because once a person and the organization, even if they give you a $20,000 check or $10,000 check, right, they have to take approvals from the whole organization to give you the $10,000 check. So at least you go through that whole process of whether they'll have the budget, when the pilot is successful, do they have. So we generally sign a, a sort of a 13-month to 14-month contract with companies, even when they do a trial. The first 2 months is given them at a special price. But after that, within that 2 months, they will decide if they want to continue, and the contract automatically becomes the next 12 months, no out, right? So very clear that 2 months, we try to deliver the value and the benefit they can get from the platform. So I think that's the call you take. Do you want to build a consumer product-led company or you want to build an enterprise B2B company?
It's a fabulous insight for, especially for B2B businesses, B2B marketing businesses. Charge even for the pilot,
Yeah.
give them a better
So I
price.
think, yeah, because what happens is that sometimes what I saw was that people say yes to things, they don't have a budget, they've not even taken an approval from their bosses, and they say yes to it, right? Because it's free. And you think, oh, yeah, I'm got this big logo who's going to come on board, but there is no process in place to convert that into a contract because the guy has not even asked his boss, right? But when you charge him $10,000 or $5,000 in place like India, it goes all the way to the boss and he has to sign off. And he'll ask you that, okay, this pilot is there, $5,000, what's it going to cost thereafter? And when you tell them it's going to cost $25,000 or $10,000, he'll say, listen, yeah, we don't have $10,000 a month to pay. Then why are you doing this pilot? Right? So automatically what happens is it filters out the companies who will not be able to pay you $10,000 a month.
Amazing. Do you feel anxiety in such a big trial period of several months?
So I think it's so the call that you take, right? So what happens is that let's put it this way, right? If each customer is paying me $20, right, then there's no anxiety, right? Because the thing, but then the anxiety would be, I want to sign up millions of customers. If I get only 10,000 customers, then I'm not getting the value, right? But you're selling a half a $1 million deal, the sales cycle is going to be long, right? You're prepared for it. And because you have already signed up few people who are paying you $300,000, $600,000, and many places in North America, they give you $600,000 in advance the whole year, right? So it's an amazing place to be where people give you 1 year advances for SaaS products. So then that this is going to take time. It's like, I've been a table tennis player. If you're an athlete, you know, the next Olympics is 4 years away, right? You've got to work hard for 4 years for that one medal, right? Now you can be anxious for 4 years. You can work towards it, but you know that it's going to take 4 years, right? There's nothing going to happen, then the Olympics will come next month. The same way, enterprise sales is going to take time, and the time is a very good learning process, right? Because you're understanding the organization, you're having conversation with the C-suite, you're understanding the pain points they have, you're discovering new use cases of a platform, how they're solving those pain points. All this is actually a wonderful experience because at the end of the day, the 0 to 1 phase, entrepreneurs have to lead that phase, right? So the more I understand larger use cases in the automotive industry, in the banking industry, in the e-commerce industry, the problems we're solving for those industries, the better I'm going to become in solving the large enterprise problems, right? So, in fact, I'm getting paid to learn and to build use cases and work with companies and spend time in the C-suite of these companies. I find it a fascinating journey. So, if you ask me, I'm enjoying this phase a lot rather than being anxious about
That's a great way to look at it. And that analogy of Olympics is also fits in fabulously. You have 20 years plus of experience in digital marketing, and just gave amazing insights on B2B, how to deal with B2B clients. What tips would you have for a new business in digital marketing who's trying to focus on B2B marketing?
it. See, I think if you look at it, uh, digital marketing, especially the digital advertising bit, right? It is better for B2C, right? Because at the end of the day, you're trying to acquire a customer. But we worked with TCS for almost 7 years, and the goal out there was not to acquire the customer, but just to make sure that TCS is included in the RFP. So the RFP itself would be $100 million, $1 billion RFP. They have to make sure they get included in the 10 companies who are asked to submit an RFP, right? So then
Can
in
you
that
give a full
case,
form of RFP?
uh, so request for proposal. So many large enterprise deals, right? What happens is they call for request for proposal. So once you qualify, they'll take 7, 8, 10 companies who will be allowed to give an RFP. So they select the companies who will bid for it, right? And this happens for everything. You want to build a bridge, you want to make a ceiling, they'll approach 10 companies that they will be asked to give an RFP, right? They don't want 10,000 people, companies applying for it. So they will also have a surety. They'll say, okay, the project cost is 10,000 crores. You have to put 100 crores of deposit. So that itself filters out most companies, right? Because you can't give 100 crore deposit, then you will not be able to build a 10,000 crore project, right? So so now what happened was that we actually put metrics for every single phase of being included in the RFP. The first thing was, can we get 50 people from that one organization to visit the TCS website? So there are a lot of softwares which do reverse IP tracking that tells you that this came from HP, this came from IBM, this came from Nike. So it tells you that, okay, these are the number of people we need in order to be even be considered for RFP, because it's a group decision. People will select the company based on the exposure they have to the company's website or the products. Then how many downloads have done? Have they gone through the product videos? Have they gone through about us? Have they gone through the investors? Have they gone through different parts of the website that will help them decide whether they want to introduce us in the RFP? If they download something or they download our credentials or case studies, number of case studies they've downloaded of ours. So all this was scored, right? So when we knew that if the score for visiting a website is 5 and now downloading a case study is 10, downloading 2 case studies is 20, then we know that unless we cross the score of 100 plus for an organization, chances of us being included in the RFP is almost zilch. So basically what you're doing is, our goal is that how do we take hundreds of organizations to cross that 100 score, right? Because then what will happen is it'll open all these opportunities for us. So anybody who's trying to build a digital marketing business, I think it's very important they understand the nuances of what is important for which industry, right? So if you're working for a real estate industry, site visit is very important, right? The person should visit the site. He visits the site with his own score of 20, visits the site with his family, score of 80. Because what happens is when you take your wife and kid to a place, right? After that, the pressure becomes on, in many cases, the patriarch in India at least, where if he's the bread earner, nowadays that's changed dramatically. It's probably 40, 60. But at the end of the day, the family comes for seeing the apartment, then the chances of it becoming successful is more. So what happens is that so many times the metrics of immediate measurement is not possible in B2B, right? So that's the reason, like how we took an analogy of TCS, where a case study, download of a case study, or visiting a website, or number of people for company coming to our website, all this gave a score. So you understanding what is the last end result, the business use case for the company you're working with, and understanding their business, right? So what happens is, if you're an automotive company, what is the business? The business could be a test drive. But if you take in India, right, everywhere in the world, test drive is a big thing. But in India, a lot of people buy cars without a test drive, because what happens is a lot of people in India actually don't drive. So I'll give you an example. I was buying a car, and what happened was, when the luxury car came, I actually took my driver with me, and I asked the driver to drive, and I sat in the back. I said that's what my normal thing is, right? So I want to see how easy it is to drive the car. I want to see how comfortable am I at the back, right? So my test drive was not actually driving, right? Now this only happens in India. In fact, so you see the Mercedes and all these companies now have a lot of features that have now come on the back seat in terms of changing the music or doing these things, which is not the case earlier. Earlier, all the controls were on the steering wheel, but they realized that the driver is driving it. A 7 Series or an S Class is not being driven by the person who owns the car. So they have now shifted all the features in the back seat, and that's the seat they've made most comfortable. But that's a learning for them, right? A S Class or a 7 Series Beamer user in Germany probably drives the car himself. But in India, very few S-Class owners would ever drive their own car, right? So it's simple, right? You have to understand the nuances of every industry and then figure out what is the biggest pain point they have and whether you have the capability of solving that pain point. If you can do that and deliver results out there, that's how you build Like when I built Communicate 2 over a 20-year period and we sold it to Dentsu in 2012, we worked a lot with banks, the insurance companies, but we always saw what are the pain point they have, right? So let's say I'll give an example. To work with a bank, and what we found was that people were converting through a phone call. It was still not converting online in those days, 10, 15 years ago. So what we did was we found intent that people search for, and we trained the call center agents to change their sort of script based on the intent. So somebody's typing in for fast loan, the phone call would focus on the speed of disposal. Somebody is searching for personal loan rates, then the call would focus on the competitive value of the offering. So because of that, what happened was the conversion rates of the phone call went up through the roof. And because of that, they were willing to pay a higher price for the lead. In turn, we got more budget for digital marketing. But we solved the problem, which was not our problem, right? The phone call, a lot of digital companies, what they say, oh, you know what, phone call conversion to aapka problem hai. But the fact of the matter is that's where the conversion is happening, right? So if you can figure out a way to increase that conversion rate, then they'll invest more with you in digital marketing. A lot of people don't look at it that way. When we're, when I was start working in this bank earlier, we started with ICA Bank, it was 20, 25 years ago. They wanted us to sell fixed deposits, right? So they said, okay, we're getting these leads at 100 rupees. If you give it to us 80 rupees, we'll take it. So I told them, listen, what is your business? Your business is not to generate leads, right? So even if I generate a lead at 10 rupees and none of them convert, what's the use of the 10 rupees? It's a waste of your resources, right? So what you do is you're currently spending 10 lakhs a month and you're generating 2 crores of fixed deposit. So let's do one thing. You give me the same 10 lakh rupees. I may give you only 100 leads. You're getting 1,000 today, right? But let's take the total conversion rate of those 100. If it crosses more than 2 crores, would it be not good investment for you? He said, I agree with you. I said, okay, let's try it. We ended up doing 5 crores 60 lakh rupees of deposits for them. And one customer gave them 2 crores of deposit because we were bidding for keywords like Berkshire Hathaway, right? Because anybody who can spell Berkshire Hathaway correctly, and each stock unit of Berkshire Hathaway is $600,000, right? One unit of stock is $600,000. Automatically, they were the right people who were rich enough to give a fixed deposit, right? So the thing is that you could never bid for Berkshire Hathaway. You had an 80 rupees cap on the lead, right? So then what happens is we understood the business. The business is giving fixed deposit. The business is not generating leads. And then you have to stand for what you believe in. I have had so many times arguments with customers and they have said that, Vivek, this is what we want. I said, listen, I'm not the one to deliver to you. Let me show you an interesting example. We were working with a casino in Goa, the biggest they have there. So what happened was they told us that, you know what, Vivek, I want you to get these whales. These whales are people who play up to 1 crore rupees, 2 crore rupees in a night. So I said that, listen, and this was a pitch, right? There were 7 agencies called. We were the third or the fourth agency going to the room to pitch. I said, listen, I don't think I can get you these whales. I said, like, what do you mean you can't get me these whales? You'll try. I said, no, I want to try also. He said, but you come for a pitch. This is our business. We want to acquire whales. So I said, hey, listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. When these whales play, they need to have an audience who's surrounding them. And somebody puts in a 50 lakh rupee bet, somebody should say, wow, wow, right? You want these pretty girls standing around and saying, wow, right? But if they are alone, they lose a crore, they win a crore, and there's nobody around watching them, then they're not going to have fun, right? So I'll get you all the people who'll say, wow, you get the whales. So he said, you're the first guy who told me the truth. He sent the remaining 4 agencies who had not pitched home. They hired us on the spot. I said, you know what? If you can bring whales, you can open your own casino. You just get me all the people who'll say wow, right? But I was
Wow.
originally enough to say that, listen, I can't get you whales because I could have easily said, yes, I'll get you whales to win that pitch. But probably I would have not won that pitch. And plus I would have not delivered to them, right? Then I got him a lot of people who said, wow, and the whale felt so happy standing there and playing because they had this crowd who was saying, wow.
Superb. So smart. Uh, really loved all the four examples you mentioned. Uh, that is right from the car, sitting in the back seat. There's so much population in India, and we have so many uh, people to help us, maids, drivers. That's a whole change in perspective when you're looking for the targeting Indian market. Secondly, about the wow factor, yes, having the guts to say I'm not going to get you whales, that are superb. And about the banks, the keywords to target and how it should be done, that was really ingenious. When you started out 20 years ago, or somebody who's starting now in a digital marketing or marketing firm, how would you suggest them to enter this business? Which sector to go into, or look at the employee size? How should they proceed?
So Tanmay, actually, now everything has changed a lot in the last 20 years, right? I think AI is disrupting this industry the most. So I would recommend today, so I think first of all, I think understanding what ICP you have, right? Ideal customer profile. Are you going after SMEs or are you going after large enterprises? What are the pain point they have that you can solve? How are you differentiating yourself from the others? Because if you just take digital marketing, right? There is an opportunity of $1 billion across 20 fields of digital marketing. You can have the best creative firm in digital marketing. You can have the best analytics firm in digital marketing. You can have the best firm that solves implementation problems of Salesforce and Adobe kind of software. You can have a digital marketing firm that does media buying efficiencies. It can buy programmatic more effectively. You can have a digital marketing firm that creates video, digital marketing firms that can help companies use AI more effectively. Even digital marketing firms who can take a Consumr AI platform and build a business around it, right? Because we're working with large enterprises. I think they have digital marketing expertise, but they don't have an AI platform. And they're not going to invest $4 or $5 million in building the platform upfront, right? Because companies like us, we get valued at 30 times of revenue when we raise capital. Right? Digital marketing firms get valued at 10 times of profit when they sell or they basically are working, right? So we'll always be able to afford better talent. We'll always be able to build better products. Individual digital marketing firms are going to find it challenging to basically compete with product firms, right? That's the reason Infosys finds it extremely difficult to compete with Microsoft, right? So Infosys has a market cap of $100 billion and 2.5 lakh people. Microsoft would have 150,000 people and market cap of $3 trillion. So half the number of people and 30 times the size, right? Because they're building products. So you want to take that, what is the thing that you want to specialize in? Do you want to be a product implementation company that Adobe grows? You will grow along with it. So there is a friend of mine who built a 500 people team just focusing on Adobe services. And he sold his company recently. So the guy called Himanshu from Technopoint. So he sold his company to DEPT, but he just built a 500 people team just specializing in Adobe solutions, right? It's probably one of the best in the country in implementation of Adobe, right? So the thing is, every niche that is there, there is an opportunity. You decide what niche you want to take up and can you be the best in the world in that niche. So my belief is that, I met firms which are like 50 people firms. I said, okay, what do you specialize in? He said, no, we specialize in digital marketing. So we do everything. So the thing is, when I built Communicate to when I sold it to Dentsu, the reason why I was able to derive a great price, I was able to grow 10, 15x in that 3 to 5 year period of the earnout. The primary reason for that was that we were a specialist. We really understood search. We really were one of the best firms in the country in search. And that allowed us to go confidently to any pitch and say we are the best in the country in that one particular thing. Were we good in creative? Probably not. Were we good in social media? Probably not. Were we good in mobile marketing and app marketing? Probably not. But yeah, we were gods in search, right? We were the best in search. We were able to charge a higher price. We were able to deliver better value. Like at one point in time, we had 17 clients in banking, financial, insurance services, right? So we had like 11 banks working with us, every single company. So ICCI, HDFC, Axis, Yes, Kotak. Just imagine every single person, 17 to 18 BFSI clients, because we were just specialists in certain verticals and we were the best out there in one particular area, right? So I don't believe that you can build a 30 people firm, 50 people firm, and then say we do everything, right? So I think each of these markets are $1 billion opportunities. Take up any one of them, become dominant. Once you grow to a 300, 500 people size, yeah, you want to become a 1,000 people firm, you can still specialize in three things and become a 1,000 people firm. This guy became a 500 people firm, which is Adobe, right? Just implementation of Adobe, right? So you can build pretty large companies now, specializing in one thing. So my belief is that, even my time, right? I generally spend 90% of my time in things that I'm the best at. So I've seen that a lot of people try to work on their weaknesses, but then you just land up with mediocre weaknesses. You don't become the best in the world in one thing. So I recommend that as a company also, You should find a niche that you want to specialize in, and then be very, very brutally focused on that niche and become the best in the world. Because I think what, like I had a chance to listen to Thomas Friedman a few days back at that conference in Delhi. And I think his book, World is Flat, where he says geography is becoming history. What's going to happen is that earlier you were protected, right? You were the best firm in Bombay, right? So you were selected, or you were the best firm in Jabalpur and you were selected, right? Now the thing is you're competing with kids in Israel and US and other places in the world, right? So at the end of the day, anybody can be your competition. So if you really want to succeed, you can't say that I'm the best firm in India because a UK firm and a US firm and an Israeli firm is competing for the same pie. So you want to be the best in the world. So at the end of the day, you cannot be the best in the world if you focus on 20 things.
Focus on one niche, become the best in the world. Forget about offering a buffet. Just specialize that we have got the
Again,
best in the world.
yeah, so Tanmay, there's no right answer. I'm telling you what I
Uh,
believe in.
Absolutely. So suppose, and taking a step ahead, you said you shared examples of revenue multipliers and compared with services and product-based firms. For example, a marketing business newly starting, they are good at video editing and making videos. Should they focus on productizing it in some way, or try to make it as a service and edit as many videos as possible for other people?
I think one of the things that, I had gone for this university called Singularity University. It's a 5.5 day program where you go and stay in the same place where astronauts stay in NASA campus, and you go through and understand exponential technologies. And one of the things I learned out there, which was very interesting, was that you don't try to predict technologies by seeing where they are today. You see the rate of growth for the last 10 years, 20 years, right? So let's take video editing as an example, right? Video editing 20 years ago, if a certain thing took 20 hours, right? Or let's say took 1,000 hours, right? In the last 10 years, it became from 1,000 hours to 600 hours. Last 10 years, the 600 became, 300 hours. 300 has become 100 hours. And now the thing is, with Sora and other things, it's becoming 10 hours. So what happened was that basically, if you fast forward it, video editing is going to become free, right? Or it's almost free. And it's going to not require people, right? So now what is going to happen is if you predict, right, you want to be in a market where the total addressable market is large, right? So anybody who's trying to say that my expertise is video editing, I say, like, listen here, AI is already doing that and it's going to become free, right? Because now video editing will be I upload a video and I give instructions in English that, you know what, remove this orange t-shirt of Tanmay is wearing and make it green, and remove the headphones and make it look like a space helmet and replace this, etc. So now what happens is who are you competing with? I'm going to talk, and the video editing and the AI will change the video, right? So if you are an editor, right, that cannot be your business. Your business has to shift. If you don't make that shift, like I'll give you an example, right? I invested in this company that makes MRI machines. Now they basically is an open MRI machine. They're based in California and invested a little bit of money in them. Now what they do is the MRI is done, and then the AI uses millions of other scans that have been done in the past, and it's able to predict whether you have a certain disease or not. And that prediction is now much better than 90% of the doctors. It's going to become better than 100% of doctors in the next few months, right? Or few years, right? So now if you're studying to be a radiologist today, the core job of a radiologist is to identify what disease you have, right? If AI is going to do that, then what's going to happen is a radiologist in US would get $500,000 a year. A lab technician gets $70,000 a year. So you're basically taking a person who's spending a lot of time in becoming a radiologist, and all the jobs that will be left in the world will be a lab technician. So same way, if you're a video editor, right, what is your future? Means you prove it to me. How is your future going to be? Now what will happen is, but I'll tell you where the silver lining is, right? Tom and Jerry took 500 people to make Tom and Jerry. Today, we don't make Tom and Jerry because one person in the computer can make it. We make Shrek. Shrek still requires 500 people. So now if you're a video editor, and now you can specialize in mixed reality, in virtual reality, into AR, and also narrative, right? So what happens is you are immersive in a movie where you have an option to meet Priyanka Chopra or, Nargis Fakri, and, depending on the choice you make, the story of the movie changes. But you're inside the movie. Now, this will require creating worlds. This will require instructions to be given because the creative person will say, okay, how should the sky be? The sun should be orange but not red, but it should only affect half the ocean. And there should be this. So even the instructions that you give, right? And how do you build that narrative in the story? So the computer will do the editing, but you'll have to direct it, right? So if you don't transform your services and skills in the new world and you continue making Tom and Jerry, then you're going to get out of business. You have to learn how to make Shrek and then fast forward 10 years, what that 10 years is going to look like. Maybe a movie is going to be completely in mixed reality. It's going to be completely in AR or VR. So now what happens is that will require a lot more resources to create that in spite of using as much AI as you do, right? So as any profession that you're in, you have to evolve. If you don't remain relevant, like I've done AI courses, I've become an AI trainer, I've tried to use AI as much as possible because the thing is, if I don't, right, then I'm going to become irrelevant. So it's not the AI that's going to displace and disrupt human beings. Is the humans who learn how to use AI more effectively than you are the ones who are going to replace your job, right? So basically, what's going to happen is the human who's replacing your job, he just knows how to use AI more effectively than what you do. So I think evolution and remaining curious and learning new things is very critical. The more and more you learn, the more and more relevant you'll remain.
Fabulous. Update yourself or be become
You know,
obsolete by AI.
I'll share with you one interesting example. Warren Buffett was asked a few years ago that how do you fight inflation? So I said, okay, Warren Buffett hai, wo bolega, invest in mutual fund, do an SIP, do all these things, right? And he said something which just completely blew my mind. He said the best way to fight inflation is through education. You become a better doctor, a better lawyer, a better entrepreneur, a better anything. So if you invest your monies in improving yourself, then the income increase that you will have will be more than the rate of inflation increase. So the best way to fight inflation is through education and not by investing that money somewhere. And that's Warren Buffett telling you this.
Wow. That's why we respect Warren Buffett, and that's why the search term Berkshire Hathaway is so effective.
Yeah.
What is the core value that a person in marketing brings? Considering AI, what are the things that a machine can't do that a human can do after education?
So the thing is that, see, the way I look at it is, right, uh, I have a feeling that the only reason why human beings will continue to remain relevant, which I'm hoping is that I think machines don't have a motivation for consumption. There's a very interesting ad of Heineken where this robot is there, he's playing golf and he's hitting 100 balls in a second. And then he's running and he's obviously running very fast. And all this thing happening. And then he finds in the evening, he sees a group of friends having a Heineken in huddled in a bar. And he looks out of the window inside and he feels extremely alienated and he realizes as a robot, he can't do any of these things, right? So the thing is that why do you think all of us want to make more money? It's driven by consumption. We want a nicer car. I want to eat a nicer meal. I want to have a nicer single malt. I want to do things that I consume, right? Now, what is the incentive the machine is going to have to, theoretically speaking, make more money? I don't know, right? It could change because we don't know how the cognitive system of AI is going to work, but I'm hoping that that consumption will be a differentiator. So the way I look at it is the best chess players in the world are not AI chess players and they are not humans. There is a term they use called centaur. It's a half horse and half man. So the team that has AI and human beings put together are able to beat individual AI teams or individual humans. Right? It's a combination of the two that is superior, right? So the way I look at it is don't look at it like this, that what can I do that AI will not be able to do. I think the way to look at this is what can I do if I had AI with me, right? So that's what the goal should be. Now, how do I become the best in the world as a centaur, as a combination of me and AI, right? So then what happens is you should see, okay, what will I be able to do in marketing if I had AI in my thing? For what skill set I need to build so that I become a more effective user of AI and exponential technologies than other people around me? That's what gives you a competitive advantage. But if you take, will it be able to write better creative? Probably yes. Will it be able to create better creative faster? Probably yes. But it needs instruction, it needs insights, right? At the end of the day, even if it gets the right insight, like Crocs is a, we say it's after sport relaxation, came out with the AI construct that we did. So, but the thing is that taking that insight and putting that into a creative and implementing it requires some execution. So the AI, even if it's right, so many times the AI will not know it's right, right? You said, okay, give me another answer, it'll give you another answer. So the thing is, just imagine, right? AI will create 100 answers. It doesn't know which answer is right. So I'm hoping that a human being will curate, and one of those insights could be bang on target, but the AI may not know which one it is. The human could play a role. Okay, now you're onto something. Now let's go deeper into this. You've got this right insight. The Crocs is for after sport relaxation. You want to take a cup, like a companion for your sports shoe, accessory for your sports bag. Once I'm done playing sport, a lot of people want to change into Crocs. So that's a target market. Now let's write the creative for it. But if you ask it one more time, it'll give you a random answer, right? So the thing is a combination of AI and human that I think is going to win this race than whether it's AI individually or human individually.
Combination of AI human. As you said, chess and teams of AI playing it. My mind was thinking of a prompt for text to image of chess people playing, and there's a F1 team behind them backing. So like two F1 teams playing chess.
Yeah, but I think you should need to make one of those teams an AI team. So
Yeah,
it's
AI
AI and human
bots.
team,
Yeah,
yeah. So AI bot and the humans backing the chess player.
yeah, beautiful. Let's go back to your beginnings. You come from a family business. How did you think of starting an entrepreneurship or doing something of your own?
Okay, so I think there were two things that happened to me when I was in my family business. One of the things that happened was that, we got an order from a very large company, and our family business is musical instruments. So they wanted us to make some 500,000 flutes. And these flutes would be distributed among their stores. And that was just trial order. If it worked out well, they could have wanted 5 million flutes. We realized that we could not provide consistency in those 5 lakh flutes itself. So basically what happened was 5 million was out of the question. So basically we had to decline that order, right? And I quickly realized that this is one industry that I'm in where the supply is limited and the demand is outstripping the supply. So the largest musical instruments company in the country will be worth 100 crores. So if I want to create a $1 billion company, I'm limited by the industry itself. So I was very clear that I want to be in a place where I'm limited by my capability, not by the industry. So if you take what I'm doing right now in Consumr AI, right? Can somebody build a $100 billion firm doing what I do? I think they can, right? The industry is not going to limit us, right? We can get $1 million contracts from companies, 11,000 companies in US who use Adobe software. So this can be a 1 billion, 5 billion, $10 billion revenue company, right? I may not have the capability of building this, right? So the industry is not limiting me. My capability is limiting me. So I will build as big as I can make it, right? Or my co-founders and us can make it. But if you take certain industries, the limit is the industry itself, right? If you're a small retailer in a place, regardless of what you do, it's very difficult unless you expand into certain areas, right? So now, if that is the case, right, I was very clear that I want to do something different, where I'm not limited by the industry, I'm limited by my own capabilities. So that was one of the primary reasons I left the family business. Second thing, I think I've always believed as an entrepreneur, you should do things that you love doing. Because, it took me 10 years for Communicate to reach a certain scale and size. And those 10 years were very difficult, right? We were moving offices, we were struggling on a day-to-day basis. We were, I was learning from scratch how do you put a shop and establishment license permission into the office, and how you're paying electricity bills, and how you're paying your phone bills, and how you're applying for new phones, and what are you doing at each level. And Even simple things like, networking. We couldn't afford an IT guy, but then I trained my office peon to become an IT guy, and he actually did our entire networking. And he would assemble computers for us because we would get it half the price if you take parts from laminated board and build your own computer. So I think that journey was very exciting because I loved what we did. I love digital marketing. I love the internet. I love working with clients. So if I didn't like that, right, if I was not passionate about digital, because I know a lot of my friends who started companies around the same time, most of them took up jobs or left it and did something else. We persisted. So if you take the OGs like Siddharth Rao from Web Chutney, me, Manish Vij, a lot of us persisted doing what we did for 10, 15, 20 years because we loved what we did. And that allowed us to create wealth. A lot of people who left it in hindsight, uh, you know, they struggled for 5 years and then they left, right? But we all continued. There was no money in it. There was hardly any respect in it. But because of our passion, we continued. And I think that's what it takes, right? Because so there's a line of entrepreneurship that has always motivated me. It says that entrepreneurs live a few years of their life like most people won't, so they can live the rest of their life like most people can't.
Absolutely. You spoke highly about passion. There's a new problem that comes with passion these days is in the olden times, they didn't have internet. They didn't have people to look up to. They didn't know passion. They didn't have options. So they were very clear what they want to do in life. But with the onset of internet and media promoting or putting spotlights on people from different industries, okay, this is good, that is also good. They are also becoming famous, and shows like uh, Shark Tank having so many different ideas coming in. Youth who's just out of college gets confused. What is my passion? I have several interests. So what exactly I should do? If I do this thing, then I won't be able to do that thing. So what would you suggest a confused person about passion?
So, I think everybody should have some mental models. So I've always had mental models, and those mental models have kept me in a certain direction. So I also have a lot of quotes which I've sort of inculcated them into my life. So one of the quotes that I have is that so many times you have to be like a postage stamp. You have to stick to one thing till the time it gets there. So when I was doing search, I focused on search. Social media buzz came, mobile marketing buzz came, a lot of these things came, and I left all of them and continue to focus on one thing that I was the best at and build one of the largest digital marketing firms in the country, focused only on performance, sold to Denso and then built almost a 1,500 people team for them, right? But it was just focus, like, so I was very clear in my head that this is one thing that I want to be the best in the world at. Uh, so, and there are so many new things that you learn in the process, right? So what happens is in that process of building a 1,500 people team, you learn processes, you learn how to work with a $60 billion company, you learn how to acquire new companies, you learn how to manage senior management, you learn how to manage entrepreneurs because they want the freedom to work with you. How do you ensure that you are able to understand the pain points that the large clients have? How do you solve them? So there is enough things to do in every single industry that you can imagine, right? So what happens is that a lot of times so I'll give you an example. I'm a quasi-professional table tennis player, right? So I own a team in table tennis, but in 39 plus categories, I've won 2 silver medals in the nationals. And so I play in the Buddha category of 39 plus. I'm a national level player. But I'll tell you what happens is, right? If you want to improve a sport, then you cannot play matches. So what you do is you have to take 500 balls and just serve the same serve again and again, right? You do it 10,000 times, you do it a million times, right? Bruce Lee said, I don't fear a man who knows a million kicks. I fear a man who knows one kick and he's practiced it a million times, right? So now what happens is when I'm playing table tennis, if I really want to improve my game, I have to do boring shit. Boring shit is doing the same serve again and again, hitting the same topspin again and again. It's doing, cardio and doing weight training and building a better fitness and endurance. All that is boring activities, right? But the more and more boring things that I do, then I can win the nationals. Then I can actually have a good game. So in order for some things to become exciting in the world, you have to do boring things. If you want to keep on doing exciting things, which is just playing matches every day, then you're not going to become a world class player, right? So even if you take a musician, right? If you take the biggest and the best pianist or violinist in the world, every day they'll do riyaz. What is riyaz? Riyaz is boring, right? So, I have an investment in this company called Celebrity School, and we had done a course with Asha Bhosle ji. And what happened was every morning she would come with us. Before that, she would complete her riyaz. They say not even a single day of riyaz she would have missed in the last 50 years of singing, or 60 years of singing. So the thing is riyaz exciting? No, it's not, right? Singing a new song is more exciting than doing riyaz. Doing the same song again and again is boring. But in order for me to sing that song as well as I can, or play that match as well as I can, I have to do boring things. So a lot of times Gen Z gets this impression that I want to keep on doing exciting things. So the thing is, if you keep on doing exciting things, then you will not be able to do the most exciting thing that actually makes a difference. So you want to improve your craft. Improving your craft takes time, and unfortunately, it's not an Instamart and it's not a Zepto. It takes time. A lot of things in life can be achieved in a 10-year period, 20-year period, and perfecting their craft takes time. They say that sometimes an overnight success takes 20 years of work, right? So that you'll have to do a lot of boring things in life so that you then allows you to do the most exciting things in the future. But if you keep on wanting to do exciting things every day, then you'll never end up doing anything really truly exciting.
Thank you. Taking the example of the video editor again, I can say that you do the editing for 10 years, but focus on a bigger thing like you did for search, right? It wasn't how to search on some other thing. It a category should be broad, but also you should be continue to do this. So like a video editor can say, I want to make beautiful, entertaining videos. Now, for him, the Riyaz would not just be using a particular software like Adobe and continue to make videos every day, but also learn about AI and adopt and simplify his process, his speed, and use technology and also adopt to changing times. So, from your own experience, how would you frame it in a way that you stayed away from becoming obsolete, as well as you stuck to the same industry or stuck to one thing that you're doing?
So I mentioned two books which are interesting books. There is a book called Outliers, right? So Outlier generally talks about this concept of 10,000 hours. In order to become the top 1% in the world or that, you have to put in 10,000 hours. But you know what? Actually, people misread and don't understand what the 10,000 hours means. So what happens is, let's say you're a taxi driver. You've driven the taxi 10,000 hours, but you don't become Schumacher, right? And you don't become a race car driver. Because what is happening is you haven't done and improved on it on a day-to-day basis. You're what you were 10 years ago. So in 2 years of experience and 10 years of experience is not too much different. That's the reason a person with 10 years of taxi driving experience and 2 years of taxi driving experience probably makes the same amount of money, right? So what happens is that if you take, there is a book called The Bounce, right, which is the UK table tennis player who's a UK number one wrote this book. What he said was that it's not 10,000 hours. It's what is you're doing to improve in every time when you practice at 10,000 hours. So Beatles used to go to Europe and perform in bars from morning to evening. So they would have a morning session, they would have an afternoon session, the evening session, night session. They would perform for 7 to 8 hours a day. And they would do this for 3, 6, 8 months at a time. Every bar, the audience was different. Every bar would give them a different response. They wanted to make sure that the person forgets to drink and eat and watch their music. So now what happened was that because of that, they improved, right? So the first time in the US, they were a sellout because what happened was that 10,000 that they spent, it was not performing in the same place, the same time, with the same audience. Because they were getting exposure to different audiences at different bars in different countries in Europe, that allowed them to improve, right? So when I'm looking at it, if you want to spend that 10,000 hours, if you just keep on playing games, you will not improve. So the Bounce talks about multi-ball training. And the multi-ball training concept came from that whole thing that how do you improve? You hit the same top spin a million times, right? And then what you do is that same top spin, see how you can increase your strength. How can you use your legs in that top spin? How can you make sure your core is involved? How do you make sure that your action comes back to the same place faster? So what you're doing is if you are running and you run the same speed and every day you run at the same speed for 10,000 hours, you're not going to become best runner. But what if you say that I'm going to carve out and shave off a minute for my time every week? Just 1 minute every week, right? If you're able to do that for 10 years, imagine what kind of speed you can start with, right? You may start off with and you become a really good runner after that. So it's very important that when you want to be the video editor, what are you doing where you're improving yourself even minutely every day? So earlier you could not create a world in AR that effectively, and your AR reality looked very different from, your virtual reality looked different from actual reality. But now you are able to create a world which looks very much like reality. And one fine day you master your shadows, you master your lighting, you master your things, you master movements. When a man walks, he actually walks like a man would. And a person has limb, then his limb would be exactly like a human being would be. And tomorrow your virtual characters are so alike like humans that it's like almost you reach that matrix phase where you cannot distinguish in reality and virtual reality, right? So that's what your goal as a video editor should be. That how am I going to create reality which basically is so close to reality that people get confused, right? But for that, if you are doing 10 hours of work every day, have a goal. What I did yesterday, I'm going to try to improve it by 1% every day. If you improve something by 1% every day, the compounding effect of that is almost 3,000% at the end of the year. Just 1% improvement every day. But if you don't improve, there's no compounding.
I'm going to connect this now back to marketing. So this editor continuously is improving his skills and making beautiful videos. It's more like art. But the person you're trying to pitch to that I'll make ads and videos for you, he looks at this and he says, yeah, this is beautiful, but how is this going to help me? So he has difficulty in selling his services as person who makes ads. What would you say that to that?
Yeah, but Tanmay, I think you have to be very, very clear what business you're in, right? So let's say put it this way, right? Suppose you make a really nice Michelin star kind of a restaurant food, but then you're trying to sell it on a thela, right, outside a college, right? You're not going to get the right price. You're probably not going to get the right appreciation also. You come out vegan, gluten-free, really good food, right? But the guy who's outside the college wants to eat a bhajia, right? Another thing is that be very clear, right? Who's your TG? If you feel your what you're doing is art, then you go to sell it in a gallery. You sell it on the road, you're not going to get the right price for it. Look at the best. Earlier, portrait painting was a huge thing, right? Then photography was invented, and then now the portrait painters sit on streets and copy your face for a few thousand rupees or a few hundred rupees, right? But now art has taken a different form, and Picasso oriented a technique, contemporary art came in, expressionist art came in, and the whole artist evolved, right? So if you consider what you're building is art, then marketing guy is not the right target audience for you, right? Because then you're taking a thela and trying to sell Michelin star food. It doesn't make sense. So what does the marketing guy want? He wants effectiveness. He wants you to sell his product. So if you prove that your art can help you sell a product, have you seen that Coke ad in the museum where uh, this Coke bottle falls from this thing and that, right? Now the thing is, in a way, that whole thing is made with a lot of AI, but the thing is, it's amazing, right? You at the end of that period, you say, wow, and you want to have that Coke. So if that doesn't result in Coke selling more Coke, right, then all this art is wasted. So my thinking is, if you want to sell something, right, you have to be very clear who's your TG, what is the business goal they have, how can your craft help them achieve the business goals. If you help them achieve the business goals, that means you're creating value for them in their lives, they will pay you the right price. If you're not helping them create the business goals and you say, oh, you know what, you don't appreciate my cooking, suppose वो कॉलेज से बाहर आया है, उसको भजिया खा के वापस जाना है क्लास के अंदर, वो तेरी मिशलिन स्टार रेस्टोरेंट को नहीं अप्रिशिएट करने वाला है. If you have that ability to create a Michelin star kind of a food, then open a fine dining restaurant. Then you get appreciation, right? Like French will appreciate food because taste is very critical for them. They want small portions. America wants more larger portions and they use food as fuel. Doesn't even say I'm stuffed because it's like almost filling a tank, right? That word is not used in France. In France, they'll say it was delicious, right? So you want to be very clear who is your customer? So, there is a course I did from Clay Christensen, and he's a person who passed away a few years ago, and he wrote Innovator's Dilemma and books. And he had this very interesting sentence, right? It says a job to be done. What is the job your product does? Right? So I'll give you an interesting example. There was this fast food restaurant, or like a joint like McDonald's, who used to sell a lot of milkshakes in the morning. So these are thick milkshakes, and a lot of people were buying those, right? But they would not sell milkshakes in the afternoon, or they would not sell milkshakes in the evening. And this was a huge high margin item. So you're wondering why we're not selling any milkshakes rest of the day? Why are we selling most of them in the mornings? So what he did was he went and interviewed people. What are the job the milkshake was doing for them? So one common answer that came up, that I leave in the morning, I go to the office. When I'm in that way and stuck in traffic, I like sipping the milkshake. If I take a coffee, it gets over faster. It doesn't fill me, but milkshake allows me to pass in 1 hour sipping something. So it was a time pass for the job to be done. So now what they did was, when they understood that, right, they put like chunks in it. And basically what happened was, now you were sipping it and then you had to bite and chew it also, right? So the job to be done was time pass. This allowed you to ask more time. So what you have to ask is, right, whoever you're dealing with, what is the job that he wants done? Your product, your service, your craft should do that job for him. If he's a marketing guy, his job is to sell the product he wants to sell. You have to craft a solution for him that helps him sell his product, right? He's not looking for creativity. He's not looking for you to make the most beautiful art looking thing. It doesn't sell his product. So you have to be very clear. The first question I ask people is, what is the job that you want done? Right? And then have to craft my solution that helps you do that job more effectively. Right? Because it can't be that, this is my solution, take it or leave it. I have to find out what is the job that you want done, and I have to craft my solution to do that job. So sometimes when people can't sell, I think they forget this basic tenet of job to be done.
What is the job you want to get done? Ask this simple question before going ahead with anything.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And it's not me, it's Clay Christensen. He was an Harvard professor. So truly, truly respect what he built there.
So we have finalized, we have picked a niche, we are improving that niche learning, we have gone to the right target market, everything is settled, but we are still new. How do you price, even for the pilot project? How do you start pricing?
I think, see, pricing is a very complicated topic, right? But I'll tell you what my challenge in pricing has been, and how it's critical to sort of price right. Especially in digital marketing firms, or services firms, uh, you can either create a virtuous cycle or you can create a vicious cycle. So let's say if I sell something for a high price, because I'm selling for a high price, I'm able to create and a team that is paid well, and they're a good team. Because they're a good team, they deliver better product and better service, and because of that, the client is happy, and I get more clients, and those new clients are willing to pay me more. Because they are willing to pay me more, I become more premium, I can hire a better team, and it's a virtuous cycle, right? So if you take a McKinsey as a company, they will pay their people really well, because they can charge their companies that they work with really well, and because they get paid more, they can hire better people in the future. It's a virtuous cycle, and you then build a world-class, amazing team, right? But the same way, if you charge less for a product, then what happens is you have to hire cheaper people. They're probably worse off than the highly paid people. They deliver bad product. Then you have to sell the product again. You have to charge it even lesser. And then you basically build a vicious cycle to a zero, right? Basically, you destroy value. So I think it's very critical that uh, I've always believed that find out the job to be done and what is that job worth for the company. So let me give you an example. When I started selling SEO, search engine optimization in India, people were charging about 6 to 7 lakh rupees at best for SEO for the year, 50,000 rupees a month. Right? I realized that this is not the price point I want to work at. So what I did was I said, okay, you are a company who is spending 50 lakhs a month on paid search. Okay. 2/3 of your traffic is coming organic. That means the 2/3 of the traffic, which is organic, is worth a crore rupees for you at the bare minimum because you're paying 50 lakh rupees for it. But what is happening is the organic traffic is converting at double the rate of paid search traffic, right? Because that's more relevant to you. So basically, that 1 crore rupees is actually worth 2 crore rupees. So you take 2 crore rupees into 12, that's 24 crore rupees worth of value you're receiving from organic traffic, right? Which you're paying the same thing, you're paying 6 crores in paid, but you're getting 24 crores of organic traffic. So I said, okay, if you're already investing 6 crores in paid, which is giving you 6 crores of value, you are now wanting to invest 6 lakh rupees for a 24 crore value. That doesn't make sense. You should be investing 10 crores in organic search. So obviously from 6 lakhs to 10 crores, it makes stupid sense, right? But finally what happened was we got our first customer for 1 crore or something, 1 crore 10 lakhs or something. Because what I told him is that, let's say 24 crore rupees, you're going to get value. If the 24 crore becomes 34 crores, that's 10 crores or more value. But that's your current value. You're already paying for paid search, and paid search prices are keep on going up. If you stop paid search today, it becomes zero tomorrow. Organic traffic will remain. It'll multiply, it'll compound. So you should be investing a crore rupees plus in organic if you really want to create value for yourself. And this was the narrative I gave them. So signed up 1 crore 10 lakh rupees from a client. And then what I did was, at that point in time, there was a friend of mine called Ben Hayes in UK. He was one of the best search guys in the country, in UK 10 years, 15 years ago. I convinced him to come to India and he worked with us in iProspect. Now he's actually a part of a company out here in India. He stayed back in India. But the thing is, once I closed it for 1 crore 10 lakhs, then I wanted to make sure that they get amazing value. So I hired one of the best guys in UK, got him to India to work with us and deliver that value. That allowed us to then charge 2 lakh crore rupees, 2.5 crore rupees for SEO. So most of the market remained at very, very low prices, but I'm the one who was able to then sort of build that entire practice, right? So the key is that pricing, that way you can say, sorry, can you hear me? You can hear me,
Yes,
right, Tanmay? So I
yes,
think
yes.
pricing is very clear that if you can figure out what value the customer is going to get from what you're delivering, then I could charge a crore rupees plus for something that was sold in the market for 6 lakh rupees. But then once you charge that crore rupees, if I had just hired the same guys who were delivering the 6 lakh rupee value, then it would have been a disaster, right? Because then it would look like that I fooled that customer, right? Because of my sales capabilities and my narrative, I was able to sell something which is worth 6 lakh rupees for a crore rupees. So it's very critical that a lot of people sometimes get their pricing wrong, but more importantly, if they get the right price, then they don't invest monies to deliver on that price. So I always said, so I've always like communicate to was known, and iProspect was known to be higher price in the market. So we were always more expensive than most other firms. And a lot of times people ask me that, Vivek, the problem with iProspect is that, you guys charge a lot. So I told him the problem is not that I charge a lot. The problem is I'm proud of it. The fact of the matter is that I want to hire good people. I want to make sure I deliver value. I want to make sure that if I promise you something and deliver on it. For that, if I don't basically invest either in technology or either in people, build systems, all this takes cost. And the thing is that you have no control over it, right? So let's say if you make a TV ad, the client will see the TV ad. If it's not good enough, it won't see the light of the day, it won't come on television. But digital marketing, how many man hours I'm spending, what are the quality of team who's working for you, all this is not known to you. So, sometimes people have tried to negotiate the price. I said, if I reduce my man hours, you're going to waste so much more money on media. So your media efficiency is dependent on the quality of team and the number of man hours we spend on your account. So why are you trying to negotiate? Because I'm going to make a profit, right? So you're paying me 10%. That means 90% is going towards media. You make it 5%. What's going to happen is I'm still going to make a profit. So what do I do? Either I'll put a lower quality team or I'll put lesser man hours. Either way, instead of 95, now you'll get 80% efficiencies. That means you lost 15% of media by taking 5% from me. So you have a double the loss, triple the loss of what you're giving me, right? So why are you negotiating on my price, right? You tell me what is the result you desire. If I deliver the result to you, like we charge 8 lakh rupees a month, right? But if I can save you money on media, help you remain relevant, help you use AI to beat your competition, that is significantly more than 8 lakh rupees of investment in my platform, right? You can get millions of dollars of value by investing in my platform. So the focus should not be how do you reduce my price. The focus should be how can my platform help you make more monies, save monies, remain relevant, and build among the better companies in the country and remain relevant and beat your competition? If it achieves all these objectives and business goals, then whether I charge 8 lakh rupees or 80 lakh rupees, how does it matter? Right? The question should be, can I get this much value from what you are willing to offer? And that's the way vendors should price their services and products. And that's why the people who are buying that service or product should also value their price.
Beautiful. You so well explained even the conversation you're going to have with the client and what to say when and how to go about it. Absolutely. Charge higher, get a better team, deliver more value. I'm going to go one level deeper on this question now. So, this new marketing firm which specializes in making videos and ads, they want to charge a higher price from the client. But now the issue is how to get the first client, and they don't have funding before the client comes in to hire people and get deliver it to them. What do you do in this situation?
And my philosophy is very simple, right? Like when we raise capital, what do? We raise capital from friends and family, right? Same way, you can get the best client on board through friends and family. The fact of the matter is, if you feel that you're so good, right? You can do a passion project for yourself. You can make the ad for free for somebody using your friends as freelancers. That if you get that client, we'll hire you, right? There's so many people who will work with you on that, right? So eventually, you know that what the team you're going to build. If you worked in some other organization, you build relationships there, right? So like if you ask me, right, a lot of times people are limited by the resources they have because the thing is they don't look beyond what they are capable of, right? So when I raise capital from friends and family. We actually raised up to $5 million from individuals, right? People do institutional rounds of $5 million. We raised $5 million from individuals because we wanted patient capital. We wanted to build our platform. We didn't want pressure of revenues. We didn't want pressure of achieving a certain targets early and launching a platform which was not going to be world class when we launch it. So the thing is, it just came from friends and family, right? So now the thing is, if nobody's willing to trust you with the first project, there's no client who's willing to give you a project, there's no team member who's willing to work for you for free as a freelancer, then you look within, right? That means you're not inspiring anybody. You are just saying, हाँ मेरे को करना है, but nobody trusts you. Nobody thinks you're capable of doing it, right? Because if you have worked anywhere and you're really so good, you'll have your portfolio, you'll have ideas for a client, you'll get access to a client. And if you're not able to convince a team member to work for you, not able to convince a client to work for you, then I'm not sure you're the right guy for that entrepreneurship venture, right? Take a job.
You know, listening to you answer all these questions, I feel like I'm talking to Warren Buffett of marketing.
I think, when you take a pretty average guy and put him into one industry for 25 years, at the end of that 25 years, he appears to be smart.
Next question is about B2C and about your daughter. How does it feel like being the father of an influencer?
Okay, so I think what somebody had asked me that, Vivek, you must be so proud of your daughter, right? And I thought to myself for a second, and you know what my first thought was? I was proud of her the day she started breathing, right? Because at the end of the day, right, my belief is that today I just want my child to be happy. Her food, shelter, clothing needs are going to be provided for her regardless of what age she is, right? So I probably will leave her enough wealth that she'll never have to worry about the basic laws of Maslow, right? The food, shelter, clothing is provided for. Now, I was having a discussion with her that, see, listen, after this comes things like fame, respect, recognition, actualization, spirituality, right? For that, you have to work towards it. I can't give it to you, right? So the fame part of it, luckily, she's taken care of because she's got 6, 7,000 followers on Instagram. But the thing is that all the remaining laws of Maslow, you have to work towards, right? So for me, actually, my belief is that my parents did something for me. They provided me food, shelter, clothing, and education. My job is to provide the same to my kid. Once I provide that, my responsibility is over. And then I should not have any expectation from her, right? She is free to do whatever she wants to do. She is free to marry whom she wants to marry. She's free to do whatever she wants to do with her life. Anything that makes her happy. My job is to give her the safety net, right? that if she wants to attempt flying, if she falls, she should follow the safety net so she can climb up again and try again and try again, try again till the time she flies. Because I've given her the safety net to fail at everything she does as many times as she wants. So she'll never have to worry about the basic necessities of life, right? So that's the way I've always tried to empower her to do whatever she wants to do. And as far as, I think a lot of times definitions of success have changed a lot, right? So earlier, success was making money or being financially independent, right? She makes 10 lakh rupees a month, so she is obviously making decent money at 20 years old. But the fact of the matter is that for her, for me, her success is she's making these monies from her passion. She loves dancing. She loves what she does. So basically, even if she was not making money, right? But she was getting an opportunity to do what she loves doing. That becomes a potential career option. That's what makes me most happy. So it's not about anything else. And I believe that. So I wrote a book on happiness, right? It's called Happiness is a Muscle. So I've read 40 plus books. I've gone through hundreds of videos, and I've done a pretty in-depth research on happiness as a topic, right? And I generally believe that happiness is not something that happens automatically. Like, so I believe it's a muscle, like how you build muscle with nutrition and exercise, you have to work on happiness. So if you are at a, let's say, on a baseline of 80 to 100, 80 on 100, then in order to make that 80 to 82, it's difficult. You have to do certain actions, which is sleeping adequately, maybe exercising, doing meditation, being grateful, being generous, but also build up a mindset or beliefs or mental models. What's your relationship with learning? What is the relationship with money? So the whole book covers the mindset that you need to be happier. Right? So the purpose of the book is not to make you happy, but to make you happier. So
Happiness as a
that's what I
must.
would want for my daughter. Like I want her to be happier. That's my goal for her.
And I believe this is with all the parents in everywhere in the world, just for the child to be happy and
That's
alive
not
and
true, yeah.
healthy.
Tanmay, is not true. Most parents have a lot of expectations from their kids. They want their kids to be happy the way they would have become happy. So they would want their kids to become doctors and engineers and make more money and be successful and get a government job and join Infosys. And all those things they think will make the kid happy. But the thing is, how many of them give them the freedom to do what they want to do, right? If you take every single person in India, I would say 80% of the middle class population of India wants their kid to give up their passion as soon as they turn puberty, right? Because they have to get settled after that. So getting settled is complete your education, get a job, get married, have kids, and then they say, who's going to get your kids married? So basically what happens is they want their kids to spend 25 years of their life in trying to get settled, which is a ever never ending quest. I don't think happiness of your child is the majority of the population in the country. It's in fact I'm doing some stand-up comedy right now. So Aditi Mittal is having a show on the 9th of March because this podcast is doesn't mention the year, so it's 2024. So that thing I'm doing a 5 minute opening act on that thing for Aditi Mittal in Bay Club in BKC. And one of the things I'm going to cover is how do you make fun of rich people, right? So I grew up middle class and I sold my company and made some money. So the whole focus is that how do middle class people who became rich, how do they learn how to be rich, right? So they say that uh, by getting monies, you don't become rich. Learning how to be rich, it takes time, and learning how to be rich is a very expensive process.
Learning how to be rich is a very expensive process. So happiness as a muscle. I would highly recommend everybody to read that book and gift it to your friends, parents who are fall in the category that Vivek just described. So I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out.
Yeah, it's
What
getting
are what
published next
is
month. Tanmay is getting published next month. It's already ready, but consumer AI has become so all-consuming. So the book got pushed aside, and I'm focusing on consumer AI right now. But the goal is that in next 1 month we'll publish it.
absolutely looking forward to it? What insights about influencer marketing can you give from your daughter's experience?
Okay, so I've invested in about 7 8 companies in the influencer space, and I'm very, very bullish about the influencer space. Tell you what my uh, bird's eye view of influencer marketing is, right? So if you take advertising has been always about publishers. Okay. So why would publishers basically make money? So a newspaper costs about 10 to 11 rupees to sort of manufacture and distribute, but it's sold for 2 rupees. So remaining cost is recovered through advertising, right? That's how newspapers work. So the fact of the matter is today, Times of India, which is the largest English language newspaper in the country, has about 3 million circulation and 15 million readership. So they're saying if 5 people in the household read the newspaper, I'm sure that that number is not 5 anymore. Because none of the Gen Zs are reading newspapers. But the thing is, just imagine that's only 15 million readership, right? They make 3-4 thousand crores in revenue with 15 million readership. So imagine today a beauty influencer has 15 million followers, sometimes 20 million followers, 50 million followers. If you take the top 1,000 influencers in the country, they would reach 800 million people in the country, right? And will I trust that beauty influencer more for a cosmetic product than what I would trust an ad in Times of India? I think I will trust the beauty influencer more than Times of India. So now what happens is if you look at it today, a lot of companies are going to use influencers for advertising and marketing because not only it gives you higher reach, but it also gives you better effectiveness and better credibility. The reason why you would do Times of India is because the credibility is there. But credibility is for general news, it's not for beauty. So the purpose is if you want to target a Gen Z, you need to reach them through influencers. So if 50% of India's population is below the age of 25 and 75 below the age of 35, they are consuming content on social media platforms, on the internet, and they're getting influenced by these content creators. So if you want to reach out to them, you have no choice but to use content creators in your marketing and advertising strategy. If you look at it today, the the ADEX of India is about $10 billion, right? 80,000 crores. The influencer marketing industry must not be even 3,000 crores, 4,000 crores, maybe 2,000, 3,000 crores, right? Maybe lesser than that. So if you look at it, will it become 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% of advertising? It should not, because it has higher reach, it has more credibility, it has more engagement, it's better tracking. So it becomes 50% of the industry, it becomes 40,000 crores worth. But the interesting thing is that a lot of people don't realize, right? When a new industry takes shape, it sometimes adds on to the existing industry. It does not take away from it. So let me give you an example. When Uber started in California, they said that the total taxi market of California is $50 million. So Uber, even if it captures 50% of the taxi market, it'll become $25 million. Uber in 3 years became $200 million. Taxi market went from 50 million to 40 million. So basically it took 10 million from taxis, but 190 million was created afresh. And then a fresh market was people who would have been using their own car. Instead of using their own car, they started using Uber, right? So when I go out and my driver is not there, as a family, I prefer taking Uber because I can spend time with the family, we can talk, we don't have stress of driving, we're not worried about traffic. So fact of the matter is Uber replaced, right? Owning a car to a certain extent, or even if your car is there, not using your car and using Uber, right? My driver doesn't come, I use an Uber. So what happens is the influencer marketing will take the performance budget. Because it start delivering value and performance, it could happen that ADEX will grow from 80,000 to 90,000, and influencer marketing can become 40,000 crores. So if that's the growth that influencer marketing is going to happen, so I'm very, very bullish about it, right? That I think it is going to capture a pretty large share, and a lot of people don't know how to use influencer marketing. They don't understand content creation. So, one of the things my daughter was discussing with me was that it's surprising that none of the brands actually use content creators to create their content. So what they're doing is they're hiring a Gen Z who's working in an agency who has 300 followers, and then you're asking her to create content for your brand. If she knew how to create content, she would have lakhs of followers. So let's say if you take my daughter, right, without any resources, on her own strength, she was able to create 600,000 followers. So why should a large company not pay people like them to manage the account? Even if you pay them 5 lakhs a month, it's a no-brainer to just get consulting of how do you create content. Because the thing is, if they add a few tens of millions of followers to your account, that is worth tens of crores for you every year. So paying 50 lakh rupees, a crore rupees to a content creator to help you strategize and create content would be a no-brainer, right? So I think a lot of people have not realized the true potential of what sort of influencer marketing is going to be, and I think because of that, they are not investing enough in it. And and the thing is, it's a compounding thing, right? If you don't start your influencer marketing journey today, you'll not build a few million followers because you didn't build the first few million followers. You'll not add more million followers, and starting it late is going to become more and more difficult to build that following, right? So earlier, the large companies are investing in influencer marketing and build a large follower base, the more competitive advantage they're going to have in the long run. Because I mean, I have a hard stop at in 7
Yes.
minutes. Huh? Yeah.
Yes. The companies that you have invested in who do this influencer marketing, how is their model? How do they create a base of influencers that they can reach out to when another business contacts them for marketing?
No, so see, the thing is, I have this roulette strategy of investing, right? So the way I look at it is, roulette table gives you an odds of 1 to 35 or so. So you put in $1, you get 28, 38, $5 if your number comes right. But let's say you go to a new casino and there are only 10 slots in the casino, but the odds are still the same. So now what happens is any number comes, you get 35 odds, but there are only 10 slots in the casino roulette table, right? So now at that point of time, not betting on any number would be dumb. So what you do is you think 8 is going to come, you put in, 25 lakhs in 8. Then you feel something else, so you put 50 lakhs somewhere else, 1 crore somewhere else. And then all the other slots you put in 10 lakh rupees each. So if any one of the slot comes, you make 3.5 crores. So your total investment put together is 1.5, 2 crores. So you'll double your money guaranteed, right? Because the slots are only 10 out there. So what I've done is, because I believe in the influencer marketing space, I've invested in a SaaS company that is influencer marketing software. I've done a video commerce company that sells, using influencers, sells products. I've done a thing which is a gaming thing which uses influencer. I've done an education thing for celebrity school that uses Asha Bhosle, Shan, people like Mary Com, who basically teach you the skills, right? It's like U School, it's like masterclass, etc. Right? So I've done that. I've invested in companies that have agency kind of a model where they have SaaS software and agency. So I write small checks, but I don't want to miss out a slot. But lately, I've been reducing my angel investments because I'm now too busy with Consumr AI. I'm putting all my resources behind Consumr AI. But yeah, I'm very bullish about influencer marketing space in general.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. Wonderful insights from you. One last question before we hit the hard stop. How was the experience today?
I think it was awesome because I think, first of all, you had not sent me any questions. So it was good because I was making up all the answers, top of the hat on the fly. And I think what happens is sometimes when somebody gives you list of questions before the interview starts, then at least you have some thoughts you're going to speak about, right? But here what is happening is everything extempore. You're remembering incidents, you're remembering analogies, and you're just talking. And we were asking me that this is going to be a 2 hour thing. I said like, oh, are you sure? Would you have enough questions? And I think we could have spoken for 5 hours more if I didn't have a hard stop, right? So it was an interesting long format thing, and I really enjoyed the process. I hope you
Absolutely.
enjoyed it too.
Yes, thank you. I had so many more questions about TT. My brother plays table tennis and at a national level. So definitely you'll have to do a part two for other questions. Thank you
Sure.
so much. Have a great day, and we would love to be a part of your stand-up whenever you're doing it next. And read your book and follow you on Instagram and LinkedIn and stay updated about all the amazing things you do. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sounds great, my friend. See you. Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Tanmay Shah. That's me. Best way to support this show is by sharing this with your friends and dropping a comment and review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can become my patron and a sponsor. That's not all. You can buy Rocklaz merchandise and NFTs and much more. See all the links in description for details. Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.
Rocklaz Radio.
Rocklaz.
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 Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.